Imagine you suddenly receive $3,000 in your account. At first, you get very excited, but then things might change. Let me tell you the story about Chris, who unfortunately got scammed. And I'm going to show you how it went and how you can protect yourself. Meet Chris. Chris is a nurse from Seattle. He's a very friendly guy. He's well respected. He's such a nice guy. Everyone loves him. And he helps everyone. He always has an ear for everyone to listen to. And even on top of the normal working hours, he always supports everyone because he has such a big heart. So one day, Chris receives a notification from, let's call it DayPal, just for legal reasons. And within DayPal, he receives a notification that he just received $3,000. Chris feels like, wow, $3,000 out of nowhere. And he thinks already, let's go to my dream vacation on the Maldives with crystal clear water and a lot of sun, and of course, a lot of pina coladas. A few hours later, Chris receives another message from DayPal stating something from someone called John. And this message states something like, hey, I'm sorry, I just sent you accidentally $3,000 and it was a mistake. So that was really sad, but John also stated something like, hey, can you please send me the money back via something called friends and family? Chris is obviously very, very sad because his dream vacation got canceled within, let's say, 2 to 3 hours. And let's be honest, you would also be very sad if the dream vacation that you just dreamed of and you just thought, wow, that's gonna happen. I was working for the past 10 years to be able to afford something like that. So the good guy that Chris is, of course, he's going to send the money back. For Chris, everything went, let's say, the normal way. But 2 to 3 hours later, Chris receives another notification from DayPal stating that $3,000 have been deducted from his account. And he receives the notification with something called a buyer protection case. Within the buyer protection case, it states like the goods were not delivered. And that makes Chris, of course, panicking. He's very sad because he just lost another $3,000. And John, on the other side, is counting the money. For him, it's like a rain of money. He received the $3,000 from Chris and another $3,000. And by the way, John is a scammer, just in case you haven't noticed. And John planned the whole thing from beginning to end. John used something ironically used to protect buyers, which is called a buyer protection, and he used that against Chris. Let me briefly explain to you what kind of methods you have with DayPal sending money. There are two specific options. The first one is sending money via friends and family. The second one is sending via goods and services. And as the name suggests, they're for two different things. The first thing is for friends and family. Why is it called that way and what does it include? That means that you only use that option for people that you trust and you know. You can't reverse it, you can't get the money back at the end of the day. So be aware if you use that kind of option. The second option is used for goods and services. That means that if you don't know the other person or if it's a seller, you use that kind of option because where in that case, you have this kind of buyer protection. And the buyer protection means that if you send something via goods and services, you have as a customer the possibility to reclaim your money back because you can state something like, let's say, ordered an iPhone and I received the package, but the package was empty. So let me visualize that for you to make it a little bit more easier. We have on the one side, Chris, and on the other side, John. And John, at first, sent to Chris $3,000 via the option goods and services, which means because of that kind of option, it is reversible. On the other side, Chris sent John $3,000 via friends and family, which is not refundable. Very important. And then John just reclaimed the $3,000 from Chris and got another $3,000, which makes Chris a minus $3,000 and John a plus $3,000. So what can we learn from Chris's mistake so that you don't fall into the same trap and get scammed by people like John? First of all, you never send money via friends and family to anyone in the world that you don't know. And if you send it, you need to be aware that you cannot reclaim your money. Secondly, don't start a new transaction. If you receive money from an unknown source, you can just reclaim it and send it via the same transaction back. That's very important that you don't open a separate case, because DayPal can otherwise not ensure that there has not been anything else around where the seller might really be eligible to get the money from you. And it's your fault at the end of the day if you use the feature friends and family. And one of the most important advice I can give you is trust your instincts and don't fall into a trap where you get emotional, because the emotion is something all the scammers know and try to, let's say, use it against you. In this case, Chris, of course, he thought about his dream vacation and he was happy that he received money out of nowhere. And this is also applicable to, let's say, mainly everyone else that is not a millionaire, a billionaire, or whatever. So at the end of the day, trust your instinct. No one will just give you $3,000 or less or more just for nothing and not ask for it or try to reverse it. If it seems too good to be true, it mostly is. So stay safe and don't get scammed by people like John, or let them take your sense of humor. Share this video with people that you don't want to get scammed by people like John. And if you want to get more of those kind of videos, leave me a comment, a like, or maybe a new scam that you're aware of that I should be handling with this kind of format. Stay safe. Bye-bye.